definitely understand and empathize with that. For leaders in the space, what would be one thing that you would tell them, or one thing that you would tell them to fix, or a piece of advice on how they can grow their portfolio?
So I say for leaders, but even for employees, like one of the things that really helped me in my career here is that I have the unique experience of working every position in a management company. So I have a very unique perspective in how every department works, what those people actually have to go through to do their job, and how it affects another department. I find that there's a lot of managers out there that are being overburdened with their portfolio because of the shortage in the industry. I've heard of, condo managers managing 20, 25, 30 properties. That's just not possible for an individual. Either, no matter how good of a manager they are, they're not going to do a good job.
Hi, Verna. Thanks for joining me today. For our listeners, Verna Penner is the Director of Property Management and Condominium Associate Broker of Simco Management in Calgary, Alberta. With 33 years experience in the industry at Simco, they have over 27,000 doors across multifamily, single family, and commercial properties. So let's start with getting to know you, Verna. Walk me through your journey into property management and what drew you into this business. Like, how did you get down this rabbit hole, especially after 33 years?
So what drew me into property management was back when I was, 24. I was tired of my two jobs that I had. I was a single mother of two. And I thought the responsible thing at the time was to quit both jobs and go on vacation for a month for that. So while I was finishing up my vacation, I was talking to my mom, and she basically said that my cousin Ming, who owns another property management company, was hiring and I should go work for her. And my immediate response was no, because her job's boring. So I had temped for her when I was a teenager for 2 weeks in her office. And of course, I found it boring. And my mom pointed out that you're a mother now and you have two children and you need to be responsible. And I'm like, fine, I'll go work for her. And that kind of started my journey on property management.
And it's not boring at all.
Not boring. And obviously, I'm still doing it.
Yeah. Amazing. So I'd like to better understand from your perspective, from where you sit, how has the industry changed, maybe from that time, even like the last 5, 10 years, the last 3 years to now, like from where you're at?
I would say the industry has changed over the years. It's a lot more demanding now. People are more demanding. I find that ever since COVID, people are way more impatient. Even with the age of technology, everything's now, they expect immediate response, immediate answers, and immediate resolutions, which isn't always possible. And even the job itself, people don't understand what condominium managers do or property managers do. They think we do everything and they don't quite understand the role itself in that aspect. But yeah, I would say the industry's changed, that people are just have much more demands and much higher expectations that aren't necessarily realistic expectations.
Fair enough. From for your firm specifically for Simco, where do you see your like growth ceiling? Is it people, process, or technology?
Right now, I would say the ceiling is people. The industry, there's a huge shortage of licensed condominium managers in the industry in Alberta, like not just Alberta, but a lot of the provinces in Canada have huge shortages. No child grows up thinking, I want to be in property management. That's not a dream job for anybody.
Yeah.
For that. But there is that training and having to do, and it's a stressful job, right? Like we're getting yelled at all the time and no one's calling just to say thank you and you're doing great.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. That's why I got out of it. Happily retired. I know I don't look like it, but happily retired. Loved it, but I'm like, oh, there's a lot. There's a lot to unpack there. So then knowing that you're already doing the technology thing, people are obviously limited, right? What is your playbook then for maximizing your team's like productivity this year, or, next 3-year plan?
We've been looking a lot into AI, where AI can be useful in helping our staff in trying to streamline processes or things that they can do where AI could do it and frees up their time. We've created I think a strong support system in our office for our staff as well, where they can go to somebody for questions and answer. We do a lot of in-house training here, but I feel in the future, AI could be quite a strong component in helping deal with some of the more everyday calls that could be taken by somebody else or
Yeah.
AI.
Yeah, almost like an extra set of hands, right? Because
Right.
AI doesn't need to take vacation. AI, like,
Exactly.
as scary as it sounds, but it's like, you know what, to have an extra set of hands, it's never a bad thing, right? So, yeah, fair enough. I'm curious, again, because you have so many years experience under your belt. What is one thing that used to be a headache that you now make money from, or that you now make money with?
Well, I was joking with where I was telling my husband about this, and he said, "You should say your husband." And I'm like, well, I don't know. Do you actually make me more money now? So I would say what's helped is certain technology that has improved over the years or software that's been developed. Similar to like climate control, we use it for communication. So back in the day, everything went out by, Canada Post Mail. And even with emails, it was hard to send out an email distribution to 300 people in seconds, where now there's software where we can communicate with large volumes of people in a matter of seconds and get that notice out and keep the communication up. So that's helped productivity, which in terms for the company makes more money.
Right, right. Again, it's like the extra kind of helping hand, right? So then with that being said, how has your customer acquisition strategy evolved from, when you probably onboarded with Simco years ago to, you know, today? Like, what does it look like now? Like, how much does it actually cost you to take on a new community? Because again, you have to hire a new person, you have to train them. Like, what does that look like?
So, well, there are some costs. It's mostly more time spent. It's, to us, it's the cost of doing business when you're picking up new clients. Like, yes, you have employee costs. There could also be technology costs in the sense that the size of our servers have to increase once we hit a certain capacity, right? It's more of the time and effort involved, things like that. We don't charge our clients for onboarding a new client, but there's definitely work involved of, employees' time.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it takes it's not done overnight, right? Like as I say, Rome wasn't built in a day, and every community is different. So I always find that when you get into a new site, you kind of have to get your groove first, right? And that's just it. You can't change that in any other way. People have to get to know the manager and trust the manager, right? And so,
Right.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, and we're learning about the property. We're finding things that they were doing or not doing. It takes several months to onboard
Yeah.
a new client.
Mechanical equipment alone,
Yeah.
right? Like, who were they using? Why did they do it that way? Why did they put that piece of tape there and not? Yeah.
Oh, well, even sometimes a building or complex can be so large. Like I remember we had this one complex. It took me, I think, a month to actually learn my way around the complex. I didn't get lost in it.
Wow. Yeah, and they don't bring you, yeah, they don't bring you a book to say, "Okay, welcome to the campus." Absolutely. So then, what do moving things into more of a like a kind of cultural retention type, ideas. What are you doing differently with the company this year in terms of culture to again keep that motivation up, to keep that productivity up?
For Simco, like I would say for this year, we're not really changing our workplace. We've worked really hard over the years to develop a really good workplace culture. We've implemented a lot of things in the past that we've set aside. We recognized quite some time ago that the industry was going to have a shortage, and then when licensing came into effect in Alberta, it would create even a larger shortage. And it's not necessarily always about money for an employee. It's other factors that make employees want to stay with a company. So we spend a lot of time with each other. There's times where we see each other more than you see your own families at times. So we try to have fun at Simco. We do a lot of team building activities. Anyone who follows our social media accounts will think that we never work because it looks like we just have fun all the time.
Your golf tournaments are, yes, quite legendary.
Yeah, we do a lot of fun things. This year we implemented Popcorn Fridays, so we have popcorn every Friday, which our staff loves that. I'm not sure our cleaners like it because there's a lot of popcorn on the floor, but staff love
Yeah.
Popcorn Fridays
Yeah.
for it. We implemented, a program like extended health benefits, and wellness program where you can use money that we allocate towards the employee. And the longer you're employed at Simco, the more money that's allocated to you, where they're using it to buy, ergonomical equipment, or they can use it for like steel toe boots or
Mm.
golf fees or
Mm.
housekeeper, or like it's quite a long list, this wellness. And we do RSP with our staff. And so I think we've done a lot to try to encourage that strong work culture for us.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm not sure we're changing anything. We just keep coming up with new team building ideas.
Yeah, well, really strong. Like there's a lot that you're offering, right? So that's amazing. So that I think I want to come work for you now with Popcorn Fridays. That's a great approach to retention from a staff perspective, from a community perspective, like a customer perspective. Are you doing anything differently, or what's been working, actually, I should say, to maintain and retain your communities?
I think one is servicing the client properly. Two, we do offer our clients, like earlier this year, there was a new bill that came into effect. We immediately organized and had a meeting with lawyers and invited all of our board members to it so they could get updated on how this new bill would affect them as board members. So we try to do educational pieces with our boards once or twice a year just to kind of bring them up to speed. We encouraged our boards to attend things like CCI in Calgary here that hosts things as well for boards to learn. But I think the big one for, our clients is always communication.
Yep. Yep. And the additional education is never, yeah, never a bad thing. I love that. So then, how have your doors grown without growing managers? Like you're onboarding communities very often, very quickly. How are you able to, you have a great company culture with your staff, you're educating your clients, your customers often. How do you grow that without adding more, right? Like with that same rate?
On one hand, I would say we haven't, but we have, because we've certainly grown in staff as well over the years, because, at Simco, we have a strong belief and philosophy that you can't overwork your staff. And then, property management has a high burnout rate, and there's a reason for it. I find that there's a lot of managers out there that are being overburdened with their portfolio because of the shortage in the industry. I've heard of, condo managers managing 20, 25, 30 properties. That's just not possible for an individual. Either, no matter how good of a manager they are, they're not going to do a good job. And in Simco, our philosophy is you have to have work-life balance. So, you know, I myself may not practice that very well, but we certainly want it for the staff. We don't want our staff working 12, 14-hour days and getting burnout. We want them to have the right size portfolio where they're still making, a very good salary, but they can still have a life outside of work.
Yes, absolutely. That is harder said than done. I definitely understand and empathize with that. For leaders in the space, what would be one thing that you would tell them, or one thing that you would tell them to fix, or a piece of advice on how they can grow their portfolio?
So I say for leaders, but even for employees, like one of the things that really helped me in my career here is that I have the unique experience of working every position in a management company. So I have a very unique perspective in how every department works, what those people actually have to go through to do their job, and how it affects another department. And I would say for anyone, it's important to, learn, always attain that knowledge, look at it from other people's perspectives as well. Very often employees just kind of go, well, this is what it's causing me. And they don't really think that, well, this is also causing the accountant or the admin person this issue when you don't do something for them, but you
Right.
expect them to do this. And it makes everyone, I think, a better leader if you understand fully the job and what people are going through, because how do you implement policies and procedures if you don't even know what they're doing?
Absolutely. It's truly a circle, right? And even in the calendar year, you have your cigarette season and your, AGM season, your budget season. Like it's just a continuous circle. So I love that advice. That's great. All right, let's have some fun. We're going to do a rapid fire real quick. So
Okay.
Pick one, pick two, pick one. Trade shows or lunch and learns? Oh, okay. Blood, fire, or flood?
Flood.
Okay. People, parking, or pets?
Ugh. I'll take pets.
At least with pets, they're cute. You know,
Right.
pets either this is their they sometimes they bark at you, but they're cute for the most part. Yeah. Excellent, excellent. I love that. So then one final question as we wrap up. What is one thing that you wish you did or have done earlier in your career? Again, you've come from a very different, you have a very different perspective than I think most people that I've met in the industry on how they've kind of come into it. So, and the way you've come into it is a little different than most. So, what's one thing you wish you did earlier in your career?
Besides pick a different career, I don't know if I would actually do anything different because of the way my career has progressed and because of the fact that I have worked every position. It's, I think, made me a much stronger leader and able, even for training, because I do a lot of training here at Simco. I'm a firm believer of you teach somebody not just how to do it, but why you do it that way. It then helps them to become a much better manager, condo manager, property manager, admin person, accountant, which then just makes them more successful. And if they're successful, then I'm successful in what I'm doing in that
Absolutely.
aspect. So I'm not sure I would actually change anything in what I've done. It's led me to here, right? So
Yeah. What would have been your dream job if it wasn't, property management aside, but what would have been your dream job? It wasn't.
when I was much younger, I had wanted to own a restaurant or a bar.
Mm.
And I actually was in the restaurant industry before that. And I had worked myself up and I was like an assistant manager in a restaurant and I did all that and I probably could have went that way, but then I changed, careers and I got tired of working till like, 2, 3 in the morning at a bar or
It's funny because I feel like property management, the interchangeable skills with the restaurant and hotels is very similar to property management. And so when you're like, oh, I don't want to work late nights, there are definitely late nights. There's a level of hospitality. So, like, that transferable skill, I think, is amazing. And that's maybe where we'll find our next set of new property managers, right? Like, this next generation is folks that have worked in the hospitality industry and have them come on, right? Like, how do we find these people to say it's a good job, it's good pay, it's, you know, good work-life balance if you set your boundaries, right? So that could honestly be where we find our next group of individuals. So,
yeah, I would agree with that. We found a lot of staff over the years from the hospitality industry. I find that if you can work in the hospitality industry, you can work in property management because there is a lot of transferable skills.
yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks again, Verna, for joining me today. I hope you had fun and I wish you continued success.
So thank you. It was great.